Hello everyone, with the Jamaica here. Welcome to this updated video on the weather across Jamaica and the rest of the Caribbean. It is Saturday evening, November 30, 2024. Now before we jump into it, please ensure that you guys like the video. I'd really appreciate it if you guys get this video up to 100 likes. If you don't know by now, that's how the YouTube algorithm works. We all like the video and then the YouTube algorithm pushes the video out to more persons who are in the path of these tropical systems so that we can keep everyone safe, especially during the peak months of Atlantic hurricane season, that's August through to October. Share this video with your friends, your co-workers, your relatives, and even your church brethren, and subscribe if you haven't yet done so. Please ensure that, especially to my new viewers, you guys actually use the timestamps as well as the progress bar on YouTube to skip through the video, see what you want to see the most. I know the videos here on Weather Jamaica are very long, up to 40, maybe 50 minutes. Utilize the timestamps as well that are in the video description. If not in the comment section, just tap on the number right here. The timestamp will carry you straight to the point of the video that you want to see the most. If you want to skip the intro, if you want to get to where the rainfall forecast is, that's what I want you all to do. Don't waste time watching the entire video, especially if you are busy. Please ensure that you all leave a comment down below letting me know what the weather has been like in your area recently. Also, feel free to ask any weather related question that you might have about the future of the weather in your specific area. Alright, so considering that it is the last day of hurricane season, we need to give, the viewers a little summary of what took place. First of all, most of the major weather companies, Colorado State University, the Weather Channel, all of the major entities, they were predicting an above average hurricane season. The forecast was for somewhere between 17 to 24 named storms, and what we actually got was 17 named storms. As tropical storms or anything higher than tropical storms. Of those 18 storms, 11 of them became hurricanes, even although it was forecast that we would have gotten somewhere between 8 to 13 hurricanes. So we definitely got all the way up there. So if we got 11 hurricanes, that means there were 7 of them that were at tropical storm intensity. We know that tropical storms basically packing winds of anywhere from 39 to 73 miles per hour. Hurricanes anywhere from 74 all the way up to 157 miles per hour or more. And we even had all the way up to 5 major hurricanes, and it was forecast that would have gotten anywhere from 4 to 7 major hurricanes. So all of that came to fruition. Definitely an above average hurricane season, given the fact that we usually receive less in terms of the average. And we know that there was a huge amount of very warm water across the Atlantic, not to mention the fact that there was an La Nina developing. Not an El Nino, a La Nina. When we have El Ninos cause less storms. When we have La Ninas cause more storms. But it was more so of a neutral-like condition instead, heading to a La Nina. And we saw the names on the list all the way from Alberto to Sierra. We didn't get Tony, Valor, or William at all. And here we have all of the tracks. We know the light blues represents, I believe that's tropical storm status. The yellows represents hurricane status, into the oranges maybe category 4, no, category 3. The reds are category 4 and the purples are category 5. And we saw what Beryl did, trekked all the way from the southern main development region into the Windward Islands right here, right in there. Let's see if we can zoom in a bit more. This was what Beryl did, becoming a category 5 in the purple, and then all the way back down to a category 4 as it passed to the south of Jamaica. We definitely dodged a bullet with that one. And then to our west we had Rafael that brought us a lot of rainfall at the beginning of November. But we know the main one on everyone's lips, especially across the Caribbean including Jamaica, was Beryl. And here we have a nice little time lapse of this system. You can see it right here, getting its act together across the main development region. Possibly a tropical depression, then becoming a tropical storm, right here then hurricane, and we see the formidable center of circulation, that eye right there, as you can see, all the way down to the sea, crossing over the Windward Islands. The Grenadine Islands definitely got lashed, definitely made landfall right there on that island right there to the north of Grenada, becoming category 5 somewhere in here in the eastern Caribbean, passing to the south of Hispaniola, and we saw the big waves that it brought to the Dominican Republic, lots of rainfall into Haiti, and then it passed right here to the south of Jamaica. Look at all of the deep convection, the reds into the pinks, and we saw what it did. It went straight to the south of the Cayman Islands and then towards the Yucatan Peninsula right there. And we even have the Cuban Doppler radar images of this system. And I'd like to highlight that even although the eye didn't cross over Jamaica, we didn't get the center of circulation making landfall, we still got the brunt of the weather, especially across Clarendon, southern Manchester into St. Elizabeth. Those areas got the worst of this entire system. They got the northern eye wall. The eye wall, we know, has the strongest winds and heaviest rainfall. There's this misconception that people have, thinking that, oh, it's the eye that's the bad part. The eye is the calmest part. It's the area immediately around the eye, that's the eye wall. That's the worst of it. And that was definitely felt across sections of southern Clarendon, southern Manchester, and southern St. Elizabeth. Look at the yellows into the gold. The heaviest rainfall and the strongest winds. And we're talking about a category 4 hurricane. So it's packing winds of anywhere from 130 to 156 mile per hour winds. That was what was being experienced. And I don't think many of you guys know the extent of the damage that took place. So I'm going to highlight a YouTube channel right here. If you don't know them, this is Teach Them on YouTube. And you can see right here the damage that was done in St. Elizabeth. This was Beryl, ripped off so many roofs in South St. Elizabeth. Look at all of these houses. If you have time after this video, you can go over and check it on YouTube, Teach Them, highlight, or you can just type it in. Look at even this church. All of the roof definitely gone. So many houses lost their roofs. Can you imagine if the eye wall had crossed over eastern Jamaica? We're talking about St. Thomas, Portland, Kingston, St. Andrew, where so much of the population is, especially Kingston and St. Andrew. The eye wall crossed over St. Elizabeth, southern Manchester, southern St. Elizabeth, southern Clarendon, and we saw the damage. The damage was very bad in these areas. This was why it took so long for them to get back power. It's not only the roofs, but the trees, fences, light posts, you name it. Many people lost their roofs. I wouldn't be surprised if within the next year most of the houses that lost their roofs in St. Elizabeth turned to concrete roofing instead. So if you have time, go over to Teach Them on YouTube and check out this video, please and thanks. Alright, so considering that it is the last day of November, we need to highlight what was predicted for the month of November in this video that was posted on our YouTube page on the last day of October. So if you remember this video, we highlighted that the climate forecast system was predicting some amount of rainfall, as we can see represented by the greens into the blues, for Jamaica especially during November, and we can definitely say that definitely came to fruition. We saw the amount of rainfall that we got definitely exceeding the 10 inches or more. Lots and lots and lots of rainfall, lots of rivers in spate, lots of springs popping up here and there. Lots of flooding took place in general. So definitely we got that rainfall that was predicted for November by the climate forecast system. But what is being predicted for the month of December? If we take a look at the climate forecast system valid for December 2024, you can see Jamaica right here embedded in some greens that's representing anywhere from maybe 1 all the way up to maybe 2 inches of rainfall. But look, we start to see some blues to the south of us, stretching into portions of Central America, sections of the Dominican Republic, the Central Caribbean into the Eastern Caribbean, going to be getting in some amount of above normal rainfall according to the CFS. What does the other model show? This is the CAN-SIPS. CAN-SIPS is showing a lot of rainfall down here as well across Central America. We're talking about Costa Rica, Panama. We have so many friends or relatives who live or work in Panama. We can see that it's the same thing here. Above normal rainfall stretching into the Eastern Caribbean. And even the NMME model is forecasting above normal precipitation, especially across the southern portion of the basin. We're talking about Honduras, Nicaragua, Costa Rica, Panama, Colombia, and portions of especially southern Jamaica getting in on the action. And it is very similar to what the US Climate Prediction Center was showing on their Global Tropics Hazards Outlook for December 4 to December 10 and December 11 to December 17. We can see the greens that represents above normal rainfall here across the Caribbean, including Jamaica, even into the other 7-day time frame. We still see above normal rainfall, the 50% chance in the light greens, the 65% chance in the greens, and the 80% chance in the darker greens. And we see a lot of that. So I guess we could say it's definitely going to be happening if so many of these models are showing, and so many of these global or government agencies are showing the same thing. But as it relates to the CARICOF, that's the Caribbean Climate Outlook Forum, they are predicting that for the time period, all of these months averaged up from November, December into January of 2025, we should be getting in on more so in the way of average rainfall. We see more whites across Jamaica, Hispaniola, Puerto Rico, and the Leeward Islands. We see the blues that represent above normal rainfall, as you can see by the key on the bottom. Or is that purple? I don't know. But we can see it across the ABC Islands, the Windward Islands. We can also see it across portions of Belize and the southern Yucatan Peninsula too. We'll see exactly what unfolds. We see some browns right here across the northwestern Caribbean into Cuba, the Bahamas. We also see those browns that represent below normal rainfall or drier than normal conditions across the US, the Gulf of Mexico, Cuba, and the Bahamas too. So definitely seeing the consensus. Let us see if it actually unfolds during the month of December. Alright, so let us talk some climatology now. We are looking at a map that is showing Atlantic hurricane and tropical storm activity based on data from 1944 to 2020. And considering that today is the last day of November, we're somewhere in here, definitely falling off in terms of activity. We're wrapping up the hurricane season, definitely done for. We can see, however, that we have a little bit of something that could definitely still occur during December. It's not impossible for us to get systems in December, but it's a very rare. And if we take a look at December's tropical and subtropical cyclone points of origins from the 1st day of December to the 10th day of December, and this is based on information from 1851 to 2023. All of these yellow dots represent where we've had a system form during that time frame and these first 10 days of December. One system formed right here to the south of Jamaica in December and then pushed to the north over the Dominican Republic. Another system right here to the north of Colombia and then pushed to the southwest close to the western portions of Panama. Another system right here from the main development region passed to the south of Barbados into the Windward Islands and then to the south and crashed into Costa Rica. And we can also see a number of other systems out here in the northern portion of the North Atlantic. So it's not impossible, it can definitely happen, but it is very rare, and it could definitely possibly happen again, considering that we still have a lot of above average sea surface temperatures stretching all the way from the Atlantic into the Caribbean, the Gulf of Mexico. Look at how warm the waters are. This is what we usually expect to see into August, September, October. But now we mean to tell me we're wrapping up November and it's still this warm. And if it doesn't cool down before next hurricane season, trust me, next hurricane season could definitely be a bad one. And we see the La Nina is still trying to come on nicely. We know La Nina is basically when we have the cooler than average sea surface temperatures across the central to the eastern Pacific that causes less storm systems to form in this area. So this area shut down, focuses all of the attention on this side of the world. El Nino is when we have a lot of warm sea surface temperatures across this area that causes more storms across the eastern to the central Pacific, thus resulting in more upper level wind shear, tearing the tops of these thunderstorms across the Caribbean into the Atlantic and ripping them to shreds, definitely limiting activity. So we have the opposite of El Nino, we have La Nina, and well, it's trying to get its acts together. It's trying to get there. Not sure if the NOAA has officially declared it as yet. The last time I checked, it was at neutral conditions, and neutral conditions is right there in between La Nina and El Nino, and we saw that we were getting even Beryl with neutral like conditions. So all we need is the lack of El Nino to cause bad systems. And we need to remember that it's not only about how warm the waters are at the skin of the ocean, at the surface of the ocean, with all of these yellows and oranges, but it's about how warm the waters are the deeper we go. This map right here is showing the tropical cyclone heat potential. Still hasn't updated as yet, still showing November 11. The one that I just showed was showing yesterday, November 29. And we can see that we have had a lot of very warm ocean heat content as represented by the yellows into the oranges and the reds. And we see the deepest ocean heat content to the south of Jamaica. This is basically how warm the waters are the deeper we go into the ocean. So even if a system is spinning and churning up the water right there, even if it sucked up all of the warm water on the skin of the ocean, it's going to be having a lot more warm water to work with the deeper it swirls and goes. Definitely going to be evaporating even more, causing more rainfall, more systems, more more rainfall, more systems, and even more intensity. But as of right now, the 7-day graphical tropical weather outlook from the U.S. National Hurricane Center, but unlikely this is going to be the last one that they highlight. I'm sure they're not going to be updating it tomorrow, 6:31 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. If they put something on this graphical tropical weather outlook, it's going to be somewhere, and I'm 100% sure it's going to be somewhere out in this part of the world. Not necessarily the main development region, the Caribbean or the Gulf of Mexico. It's going to be somewhere up here if we get something that wants to try to form maybe in December, January, February, March, or April. We'll see exactly what unfolds. Either way, I'm making a bet right now with somebody that this part of the world is going to be getting whatever system that forms. That's where they usually want to form. We saw the map right here. We saw the map. These are the areas. We see that there are a lot of yellow dots up there. So definitely some kind of subtropical system could form. Either way, as of 6:31 p.m. Eastern Standard Time, so this just came out an hour ago, considering that it is 7:45 p.m. now. Tropical cyclone activity is not expected during the next 7 days, but that does not stop us from having a look at the Euro and the GFS supercomputer models. We're going to be looking at the next 7 days in terms of what the Euro is showing, as well as what the GFS is showing. Focusing your attention right here across the Caribbean, and look at the key at the right. We're looking for all of this that we see: the moisture, the rainfall represented in inches, from 1 inch of rainfall in the green all the way up to 12 inches of rainfall in the reds. And for reference, we have Jamaica right here. So let us see exactly what is going to be taking place over the next 7 days. So heading into Sunday, we can definitely see that we're going to be getting on more sun. We see more whites than anything else. We saw what we got today. A lot of sunshine, especially on the south coast, especially in the morning hours. We can see that Sunday definitely dry as well, but we can't rule out some afternoon rainfall. We see the greens popping up at 18th on Sunday. That's 1 p.m. on Sunday, December 1. And that could definitely mean afternoon rainfall. Heading into Monday, still see some rainfall in and around the island, especially on the north coast, to signify that we're starting to get on that northeasterly flow from that frontal system. Tuesday, much of the same. Wednesday, as we head into Wednesday, still see a lot of moisture, especially on the north coast for sure. Rainfall to the south of the island too. Thursday, we still see a string of moisture. Look at the moisture. This is the classic frontal system's moisture right here, stretching all the way from the northeastern portion of North Atlantic all the way down into Hispaniola, Puerto Rico, Jamaica, all the way down into Central America. Lots of rainfall, and we can see the whites. Look at the whites all across the Western Caribbean into Cuba and the Bahamas. It's already happening, guys. The drier are below normal rainfall for this part of the world, and the above normal rainfall for the Caribbean in general. So it's already happening. What we're seeing being predicted on the global climate models, that's the climate forecast system, the CANSIPS, the NMME, the US Climate Prediction Center's Global Hazard Outlook, showing it already. It's already happening. And we're going to be stopping right here at the next 7 days, the next 168 hours, and we still see that it's going to be lingering across the island. Lots of rainfall in store for Portland for sure. Let's take a look at the latest GFS model. We see the rainfall that's coming into Tuesday, Wednesday especially. That's when the brunt of the rainfall for the north coast is coming from that frontal system. Thursday, still raining on the north coast. We're talking about Portland, St. Mary, St. Anne. Guys, get ready. Rainfall is coming, and it's going to be lingering. It's going to be sitting. So I wouldn't be surprised if we have some flash flooding or landslides across the north coast. And we're stopping right there at the end of the 168 hours. And we're going to be looking at the differences. So the euro, you see the moisture associated with it into Hispaniola, Eastern Cuba, Jamaica, all the way down into Honduras. The GFS showing something similar. Eastern Cuba, Northern Hispaniola, Jamaica, and into Central America right there. And regarding the temperatures, let us see exactly what unfolds, because yes, it's going to be a frontal system, but it seems in terms of all of the cool air, most of the cool air wants to stay to our north. Look at all of these purples into the greens that represent anywhere from below 4 degrees Celsius below normal temperatures into maybe 11 degrees Celsius below normal temperatures, especially being experienced across the eastern United States, where here there's a lot of snow taking place. You can also see the Bahamas, Western Cuba, sections of Central America getting in on some of that action as well. But let's continue to go out in time. Look at what's happening. Jamaica not really getting the brunt of the effects. What we're seeing is us on the edge of it, because the frontal system is expected to stall somewhere in here. So all of the moisture is going to be sitting on top of us, not necessarily cool air at all. So we're going to be right here on the edge of the warm air, and right here to the north of us is where the cool, stable, dry air is going to be, and then we're going to be warming up after that. So we're going to be stopping right there at the next 168 hours. So we see the line associated with it still going to be there. And regarding the accumulated precipitation forecast from the Euro and the GFS for the next 7 days, we still see not much change. A lot of rainfall, as we can see here, stretching all the way from the northern portion of North Atlantic all the way down into eastern Cuba, into Jamaica, the Cayman Islands, as well as into Belize, Guatemala, Honduras, Nicaragua, Costa Rica, all the way down into Panama, Colombia, and we see it stretching all the way up into Haiti, Dominican Republic as well. When we're talking about a lot of rainfall, we're talking about the reds that represents 1 inch of rainfall, the darker reds that's 2 inches of rainfall, the purple is 3 inches, the pinks 4 inches, all the way up into the peach colors, that's all the way up to 7 inches of rainfall, even more in the light shades of blues, especially for Honduras right here, and even northeastern Nicaragua. Jamaica, yes, we're going to be getting on the rainfall, but we see that most of it is still focused on the northeastern side of the island, or the northeastern side of the island. And the GFS is showing something similar, even more rainfall for Panama, Costa Rica, Honduras, and Nicaragua. Even sections of southern Belize and Guatemala might pick up some of the rainfall. Eastern Cuba, northern Haiti, northern Dominican Republic, portion of the Turks and Caicos, southern Bahamas, northeastern Jamaica. That's where the brunt of the rainfall is expected. And if we take a closer look at the accumulated precipitation forecast, we're still forecasting a lot of rainfall to come for these years, and that's because of the moist northeasterly flow that's going to be expected from the windward passage. That relief rainfall is definitely on its way. They're going to be getting a lot of rainfall. If you remember, the end of October into early November for you guys on the north coast was very wet, and that's exactly what's going to be taking place again. We're talking about a lot more rainfall for St. Anne, St. Mary, and Portland. Look at Portland in those purples into the whites. We're talking about all the way up to 340 millimeters of rainfall. That could definitely cause flooding, that could definitely cause landslides, that could definitely cause loss of life. The GFS not so robust as the Euro for the next 7 days, getting all the way up into the reds though. That represents anywhere from maybe 100 to 150 millimeters of rainfall. We see right there off to north of Portland. You see the purples that represents up to 156 millimeters. That could definitely get on land as well. And we see some of this spilling into sections of St. Thomas. Some of this could spill into sections of St. Andrew, northern St. Catherine, northern Clarendon, northern Manchester, sections of St. Elizabeth, section of Trelawney, St. James could definitely get in on the rainfall as well over the next 7 days. So let your people on the north coast, especially in Portland and St. Mary, know what's to come. We're about to start our dry season, but boy, it's going to be wet for those persons who live on the northern portions in the northern portion of the island. If we take a look at the surface map of the Atlantic for this evening, we can see a ridge of high pressure right here that we know is responsible for sending all of the easterly trade winds across the main development region from Africa into the Caribbean. We see broken orange lines right here associated with a trough across the northern portion of Hispaniola. The trough has now pushed off to the west of Jamaica. We see it right there to the southwest of the Cayman Islands. And we can see the blue spike line associated with the frontal system across the Bahamas into western Cuba, as well as another trough right here to the east of it. And if we take a look at the visible satellite images of the Atlantic before the sun went down, we can definitely make out the clouds associated with these entities. The frontal systems clouds right here. We can also make out the clouds associated with the trough right here. Definitely bring some rainfall to portions of the western Caribbean. We're talking about the Cayman Islands, Honduras, Nicaragua. And we can even make out that flow of the winds from east to west, blowing those low-level clouds to that direction, all courtesy of the ridge of high pressure up in here to the north. And we can also make out the clouds associated with the intertropical convergence zone. Don't think these are tropical waves coming off of Africa, guys. These are just some clouds that are as a result of the air from the northern hemisphere meeting with the air from the southern hemisphere, causing a lot of rising air showers and thunderstorms across the southern main development region as usual. This normally crashes right into northern South America, if not lifting north into portions of the windward islands. We'll be talking more about the rest of the Caribbean today later on. Let us focus our attention on the prediction that was made in yesterday's video about the weather across Jamaica for today, Saturday, November 30, 2024. It was stated that parts of eastern Jamaica would have received some morning rainfall on Saturday, and then sections of some central and western parishes would have gotten on some of the afternoon Saturday rainfall. And we know that eastern parishes, we're talking about those parishes in the county of Surrey, like Portland, St. Thomas, Kingston, St. Andrews. Central parishes, we're talking about those parishes in the county of Middlesex, like St. Anne, St. Mary, Manchester, Clarendon, St. Catherine. While western parishes, we're talking about those parishes in the county of Cornwall, like Hanover, St. James, Trelawney, Westmoreland, and St. Elizabeth. And what ended up happening? Well, as early as 8:45 a.m., the live camera from Sea Jamaica's YouTube channel was highlighted, showing the sunny conditions that the corporate area was receiving. This is Crossroads, definitely getting on the sunny conditions. We're indeed grateful for the warm up so that some of our clothes can dry up for sure. Some of our plants can finally smile in some of the sunlight for sure. But we saw that we're getting in on some clouds and some isolated showers, because the visible satellite image just posted at around 11:36 a.m. and it confirmed what was predicted. we were definitely getting in on some amount of overcast skies, if not some isolated shores across sections of Portland right there. They were definitely getting in on some of that, and this is just the beginning for those persons in Portland, guys. You're about to start to get rainfall from now all the way through the next 7 days if you're living in Portland. Lots of rainfall is definitely coming, and I'd like for you to keep in mind that these images were posted on our Twitter page with the Jamaica, and keep in mind that these posts aren't only made here on our Twitter page, but they're made on our Instagram page with the Jamaica, on our TikTok page with the Jamaica, and on our Facebook page with the Jamaica 876. So if you have one of those social media platforms, please ensure that you follow us there as you make posts throughout the day that you can't afford to miss. We also highlighted the visible close-up satellite image of Jamaica at around 2:01 p.m. and it highlighted the clouds that were bringing overcast skies, if not some isolated thunderstorms, to portions of some central and western parishes, and even sections of Kingston, St. Andrew, St. Mary, and Portland. We're definitely getting on the rainfall across northern St. Catherine, northern Clarendon, section of Manchester, section of St. Anne, section of Trelawney, St. James, Hanover, and Westmoreland for sure. So the afternoon rainfall prediction definitely came to fruition. And we definitely have confirmation of this from C Jamaica's YouTube channel showing the Flatbridge Camp. They were definitely getting in on some amount of heavy rainfall for sure. And I definitely watched as the water turned from green to this muddy, or this, what do you call it, Milo looking color. Definitely got on some heavy rainfall at around 2:30 p.m. It's so heavy that the live camera was glitching out at some points. And we also highlighted the infrared close-up satellite image that we know shows the high cold cloud tops as represented by all of the colors. We know the cumulonimbus clouds are represented by the blues into the greens into the yellows, oranges, reds. Not to mention the sparkling white dust that we know represents some amount of lightning strikes, if not lightning flashes. And we definitely had the thunderstorm activity across sections of some central and western parishes, especially across Hanover, St. James, and Trelawney too. And finally, at around 5 p.m., the Cuban Doppler radar imagery was posted, highlighting that section of St. Elizabeth was getting on some heavy rainfall, so too sections of Hanover, section of St. James, Trelawney, and St. Anne, where some of that rainfall was exiting the northern coast. And if we take a look at the visible satellite images of Jamaica before the sun went down, we can make out what took place. We can see that low level easterly flow from east to west, and we can see that upper level flow from west to east. So the low level clouds are going to the west, the upper level clouds are going to the east. And we can see it all even better on the infrared satellite images. Look at the burst of thunderstorms that took place across sections of Black River in St. Elizabeth before all was said and done with the day. And we saw what took place when we had the burst of convection. All of the upper level clouds were being blown off towards the east in the upper levels of the atmosphere, bringing some overcast skies to sections of some central and eastern parishes. This is what we're talking about. The thunderstorms went from east to west because we saw the thunderstorms pushing off into the sea in the lower levels of the atmosphere with all of that rainfall, and then the upper level clouds with the overcast skies were being pushed off towards the east. So that was definitely what was predicted, and that definitely well came to fruition for sure. And we have C Jamaica's YouTube channel showing us that we're getting in some amount of rainfall across halfway tree today. You see people here are very busy halfway tree, some with their umbrellas, some people with their windshield wipers on, to show that we're definitely getting on some light to moderate rainfall across halfway tree at around 3:06 p.m. And I'd like for you to keep in mind that if you'd like to see more live streams like this, just visit C Jamaica on YouTube. Guys, C Jamaica, they have this live stream up 24/7 for your viewing pleasure. It's right there for you guys to watch. And they also have the Kingston Harbor, the panoramic city view, Flatbridge. Subscribe so that you don't miss out, especially considering that they are planning on increasing the amount of cameras that they have around the island. If we take a look at the accumulated precipitation for the past 24 hours from the CIMH, that's the Caribbean Institute for Meteorology and Hydrology website, This map does indeed paint a picture of where we had that rainfall today. Definitely across section of Portland, St. Mary, section of St. Anne, Northern St. Catherine, section of St. Elizabeth, section of Westmoreland, Hanover, St. James, Trelawney. Definitely got in on the rainfall. Even although this map isn't 100% accurate, it does paint quite the picture of where we had the rainfall today. And we definitely have some comments coming in to confirm the weather in you guys here. We have Bob Brown 3953 dating sunny in St. Mary. This was posted 6 hours ago. We have Bob coming back 4 hours ago, so I guess 2 hours later he got on some rainfall, stating light rain now in St. Mary. We also have Janet Palmer 6571 stating overcast in West Portland. It was raining earlier. We have on our Twitter page Jerome Johnson stating pure sunshine here in Portmore. PG876 rain in St. James. We have Lois Clark on the central side today. A little rain earlier, overcast now and cool. We have Ricardo James stating I can confirm a moderate downpour came just now in Kingston Eastern. Alright, teenager stating pouring now in Mobay. And even on our Facebook page we had the comments coming in. One here from Sylvia Bando. Sun was out this morning, overcast now with thunder in Brownstown, St. Anne. K. Watto raining St. James. Beverly Thompson wet in Clarendon. And we have Verona Burke stating slight rain in Ocho Rios. And even on our Instagram page where the comments coming in, we have Dominique on the 21 underscore stating rain a tear in Portland. We have Apple 775508 stating rain a tear at St. Elizabeth, rain and breeze. We have Naturally Just J stating pouring in the hills of Mobay. We have alright, so I guess that's it for the comments. But apparently yesterday at around 8:28 p.m. the Jamaica Constabulary Force made this post, and I don't know if it's still valid for right now, but it was definitely to highlight the fact that we're getting a lot of rainfall across sections of the island. They stated the public is advised that due to heavy rainfall over the past 12 hours, several roadways in the Golden Grove Police area of St. Thomas have been severely impacted by flooding. Main road conditions: Martha River impassable, Stokes Hall impassable, Hardly impassable. And they also stated additionally, the Martha Berry main road leading to Golden Grove connecting St. Thomas to Portland is impassable, and the bridge connecting Cheswick and Dalvin near China's Lawn has been destroyed by floodwaters. My goodness. This bridge is currently inaccessible to both pedestrians and vehicles. And they've also stated motorists and pedestrians are strongly urged to exercise extreme caution and use alternative routes. That was yesterday. I haven't seen an update from the Jamaica Constabulary Force stating anything regarding this has changed. So maybe these areas are still possibly impassable. If you live or work in these areas, let me know what's happening. If things have changed. We saw how sunny today was for sure. And we even have a video here from Dotty_Junker_ official page highlighting some flooding that was taking place. This says Craig Oates. Lots of inundation with some people trying to get out of there with all of the flooding that was taking place in this area. My goodness. We say, boy, the trap was definitely doing the most. And we even have one video here from Jamaican Matey and Groupie taking Cheswick going to Dalby, basically the same areas that the Jamaica Constabulary Force was highlighting. I mean, look at the huge breakaway of the road. Look at that one big breakaway. Definitely impossible for sure. Look at that. That's crazy. And I just have to read this comment from this individual. They stated, this rainy season just showing up the poor quality road that has been done on road and bridges. The local government not giving contracts to reputable companies and not carrying out inspection, corruption contracts to friends and colleagues. No respect for public funds. Them don't love Jamaica, them love them pocket, boy. Couldn't agree more, because the rate at which these potholes are just popping up left and right. When I was in the United States in August potholes, couldn't find not even one. Traveling from New York to Virginia, from Virginia to New York, not even one pothole. I don't know why it's so hard for Jamaica to just, and I think it would be a good thing to have so many people out there trying to help to fix these roads and build proper roads. You know how much jobs that could bring forth for so many persons who are unemployed right now. A huge money making business, but I guess it's gonna be losing more money than anything else, as to why they're taking 1 year or more to fix so many potholes. Alright, so before we take a look at what's happening across Jamaica right now, we need to highlight this post that was made. Guys, Jamaica got soaked this week. Let's fight mosquito breeding by tossing out containers that collected rainwater, clearing stagnant water from flower pots, and cleaning rain gutters. We don't want any more mosquito-borne diseases. Let's act now to protect our health and community. Guys, you'd be surprised to know that that little paint pan or that little sardine can outside in your backyard has collected so much water that mosquitoes are already ringing up and breeding in that water already. Guys, the rain has caused all of this, so it's our job now to throw away all of those unwanted containers. I'm shocked to see how much water is in a tire outside. It's just in a bucket, in a little paint pan. Guys, it's very easy for us to get mosquitoes to breed up. Please do something about it. This is the least that we can do, especially after such a huge rainfall event. Alright, so let's just take a look at what's happening across Jamaica right now. Let us reload these images so that we have the very latest, and let us take a look at the latest still image that just came out at 0055 UTC. Alright, so we can see the milky white color stretching from the western to the central to the eastern portion of the island. We can see the upper level clouds are represented by the blues into the greens across section of some northern parishes. But do we have rainfall under all of this? We have to see the Cuban Doppler radar images to be sure. So we just reloaded this. So the latest is as of 8 p.m. and what's the time now? Time is 8:08 p.m. So this just came out at 8 p.m. And what do we see? We do see some greens right here to the north of us, as well as some slight blues that represent some light to moderate rainfall. No, Moderado represents some moderate rainfall to the north of Hanover, St. James, and Trelawney. But some of you guys might be wondering, but with Jamaica, I'm seeing greens across northern and northeastern parishes with the yellows and reds. Guys, that is just a glitch. That's what we call the ground clutter. Don't be fooled by it. You have to match what we see most of the times. That's moving in a specific direction, maybe from east to west, to what we're seeing on the latest infrared. So don't be fooled by this. But this is why we need the Jamaican Doppler radar up and running, but it hasn't been working for the longest while. Hopefully they get it sorted out soon so that we don't have to be using the Cuban radar. If we take a look at the Guantanamo Bay Cuban Naval Radar imagery, we can make out some rainfall across eastern Cuba. We can make out a little patch of rainfall between northeastern Jamaica and the western peninsula of Haiti. We can also make out some rainfall on the Cayman radar. Let's reload these images so that we have the very latest on what's happening in and around the Cayman Islands. And I like to highlight the Cayman radar because at least it's showing a piece of Jamaica, the western part. And I think we can make out that rainfall that was affecting northern Jamaica. We can also make out some rainfall to the west of Grand Cayman, to the south of there as well. If we take a look at what's happening right now on the Barbican camera, the live cam from Sea Jamaica's YouTube channel, showing definitely dry across Barbican as we speak. People walking about, going about their business as we speak. We can see people in their vehicles going about their business as well. Nothing terrible in terms of bad weather tonight at all. If we take a look at the temperatures right now, we can see that we have 26 degrees Celsius in both Montego Bay and Kingston. And by about 4 a.m. on Sunday, temperature should dip down to about 25 degrees Celsius in Montego Bay, 24 degrees Celsius in Kingston. Taking a look at the temperature forecast for tomorrow, this map from the GFS is valid for 18th on Sunday when calculated. That's about 1 p.m. on Sunday. And we can see Jamaica right here embedded in some slight orange colors. That represents up to 2 degrees Celsius above normal temperatures, like what we can see on the key on the right. And we know the average temperatures. Alright, so we're heading into December now. So the temperatures are going to be changing. we're going down to 87 degrees Fahrenheit. So more than likely, we're talking about around maybe 30 degrees Celsius at most for Jamaica's temperature in December when calculated from the 87 degrees Fahrenheit. And considering that the temperatures are going to be up to 2 degrees Celsius above normal, it should be anywhere from 30 to 32 degrees Celsius at most for Jamaica's temperature on Sunday. And if it's going to be a bit too hot already, it's definitely going to be exacerbated by the lack of electricity, because unfortunately my GPS online is stating that maintenance outages there's going to be a maintenance outage on Tower Street from Pechon Street to Duke Street, as well as Darling Street, West Street, and Matthews Lane in downtown Kingston for Sunday, December 1, between the hours of 9 a.m. and 5 p.m. So if you have friends or relatives who live or work in those areas, let them know that a power outage is coming. If you have clothes to iron them from today. If you have washing to do in that washing machine, wash them from tonight. Get it all done before you can get it done during the day on Sunday. We also have one more from the Jamaica Public Service, Aki Village, and that section of Christian Garden in St. Catherine. Another outage maintenance between 7:45 a.m. and 5:30 p.m. And we know that it's definitely going to be feeling hotter because of the lack of fan to cool us down, or the lack of AC. So if you have friends or relatives who lives in those areas, please let them know what's to come. Either way, try to beat the heat with these tips. It stays here: seek shade when outside, try eating cold food such as salads and fruits, rest, make sure you get enough sleep, and rest if you feel tired. Soak, take a cool shower or bath to help you cool down. And I cannot stress enough how important it is to keep hydrated throughout the day. Drink lots of water, put away the sugary drinks. If we take a look at the dry air map, we can see the dry air right here across the waters to the east of the United States, across the Gulf of Mexico into the northwestern Caribbean. We know the dry air is represented by what we see on the key on the bottom: the yellows, the oranges, the reds, and the whites within those reds. We can also see some dry air across the main development region into portion of the eastern Caribbean right here. But we see a lot of moist air still across the central to the western Caribbean right in here. Jamaica getting in a lot of moisture, which explains our rainfall today, with more to come. But regarding the Saharan dust forecast for 2 p.m. on Sunday, we're indeed grateful that all of the browns that represent the Saharan dust are still across the eastern main development region and Africa. And we're glad that North America, South America, the Caribbean, including Jamaica right in here, definitely getting in on the clear weather. And we're glad that it's not that vigorous of a plume. You know, the vigorous plume of Saharan dust is represented by the dark shades of brown, that we don't see much of that. We see more so on the lighter shades. We know the darker shades of browns can cause hazy skies, not to mention trigger some amount of respiratory illnesses, asthma, sinusitis, you name it. If we take a look at the wave forecast for tomorrow, we see that both the Euro and the GFS have anywhere from lighter shades of blues to darker shades of blues. From the western to the eastern Caribbean, that we know from what we see on the key on the bottom right, that represents anywhere from 0.5 for meter wave height all the way to 1.5 meter wave height. And that's because the winds are going to be averaging anywhere from 10 all the way up to 20 knots, maybe even gusting to 25 knots, where we see the slight yellows. And we can see the flow of the winds across the eastern Caribbean from the east, curving downwards to the south across the southwestern Caribbean, definitely strong to the north of Colombia, and we can make out that northeasterly flow across the western Caribbean. We see a northeasterly flow between Cuba and Haiti as well. That's the windward passage, starting to set the stage for northeastern Jamaica to get in on some amount of a rainfall. And if we take a closer look at Jamaica, we can make out all of this for real. Look at that northeasterly flow coming in to Portland. That's going to be setting the stage for that relief of rainfall. They're naturally going to be getting rainfall. All of that air rising, evaporating, and coming into Portland and St. Mary Boy, this is just the beginning for them, with a lot of rainfall and damage definitely coming their way. And we can also see that the least amount of winds are going to be across southern parishes in Jamaica. So we might just get some of these clouds spilling in from northern Jamaica coming down to the south. And then during the afternoon, when we have that daytime heating, we get that diurnal convection. That daytime heating rainfall, those low-level clouds becoming mid-level rain clouds, if not upper-level cumulonimbus clouds. So the forecast is for rainfall across northern and eastern parishes especially. And then some afternoon rainfall across section of some southern parishes. But let us see the actual rainfall forecast maps. Before we do that, we see the upper level wind shear still coming in from the west. You know, the upper level wind shear, we're talking about winds in the upper levels of the atmosphere. And we already saw that today when we had the thunderstorms. Look at all of the upper level clouds being sheared off to the east by that upper level wind. That's what's going to be happening on Sunday as well. And we didn't see much rainfall in the morning on the Euro and the GFS 1 hour forecast totals, but definitely during the afternoon, 3 p.m. on Sunday, this is what the Euro and the GFS is showing. We see the blues represent rainfall across eastern parishes, central parishes, and western parishes on the Euro. The GFS has more of the rainfall across eastern parishes, southern parishes, and western parishes. And I'm more inclined to believe what the GFS is showing, because yes, some of that rainfall could definitely be affecting eastern, maybe Portland, St. Thomas, as well as section of some southern parishes during the afternoon. We're talking about sections of, let's find the parishes: Kingston, St. Andrew, St. Catherine, Clarendon, Manchester, St. Elizabeth, and Westmoreland. And some eastern parishes, we're talking about Portland, St. Thomas, Kingston, and St. Andrew. That's where the afternoon rainfall is expected. So if you have laundry to do, please ensure that you get them done from tonight into early tomorrow morning before all is said and done. The Euro is showing some rainfall for northern Jamaica for 3 p.m. We'll see exactly what unfolds. Either way, both accumulated precipitation forecast maps are showing that there's going to be some rainfall somewhere across Jamaica within the next 24 hours. This map from the Euro and this map from the GFS are both showing all the rainfall that's expected from now up until 10 p.m. on Sunday. I'm not saying that's going to be raining from now all the way up until then, but these are the spots that could be picking up the most in the way of rainfall. We're talking about section of St. Mary, Portland, section of Kingston, St. Andrew on the Euro. GFS showing more of the rainfall across maybe eastern Portland, eastern St. Thomas, section of Trelawney, St. James, Hanover, and Westmoreland. We'll see exactly what unfolds. Either way, we are in the month of December now. We're heading into December, and we can clearly see that Kingston, whose bar graph is being shown right here at the top, we usually receive up to, that looks like, I think maybe 25 millimeters of rainfall for the month of December. That's at least an inch of rainfall. Let's see if we actually exceed it. In Montego Bay is on the north coast. They're a whole different side of the island. They still receive more rainfall than Kingston. They receive close to 4 inches of rainfall. 2 inches of rainfall is about what, 50 millimeters of rainfall. And then we have, I believe, another 25. That would be, alright, so 75. So it's close to 4 inches of rainfall. So that is close to at least 100 millimeters of rainfall. Close to 100, somewhere between 85 and 100 millimeters of rainfall is what Montego Bay usually receives. Close to 4 inches of rainfall. And I'd like for you to keep in mind that if you'd like to find out what your specific parish usually receives for the year or for the month of December, you can visit weatherandclimate.com and they'll show you that information. In terms of the rainfall and how it's calculated on the rain gauge, we know that 1 inch of rainfall is about the same as 25 millimeters of rainfall, so you can do the math yourself. Alright, so that is it for the forecast across Jamaica. Let us focus our attention on the rest of the Caribbean. So as stated, we have the moisture coming into portion of northern South America associated with the intertropical convergence zone. So we're talking about Suriname, French Guyana, sections of Colombia, sections of Panama, Costa Rica, Nicaragua, Honduras getting in on the rainfall from the trough. We can see that moist east-southeasterly flow across portions of the Leeward and Windward Islands. You can see the clouds associated with the frontal system, and the numerous troughs across the northern Bahamas, section of Florida, western Cuba, trough still lashing portions of Honduras into the Cayman Islands. And if we take a look at the Doppler radar images of the northeastern Caribbean, let us see what's happening over there. Alright, not seeing much rainfall on land right now. Some rainfall to the south of the US and British Virgin Islands, between the Dominican Republic and Puerto Rico. Some hit or miss isolated shores to the north of the Leeward Islands. But if we load these images from earlier today, section of Puerto Rico is definitely getting on some of the rainfall. And we saw that flow coming in from the east southeast. You can also make out on the Barbados radar. Let's reload these images so we have the very latest. We can see some rainfall coming in from the east, maybe some isolated shores for Barbados later on tonight. You can also make out some rainfall passing to the south of Martinique, some rainfall into section of St. Vincent and the Grenadines, Grenada getting on some of the action. So too, some rainfall coming in from the east into section of Tobago, and northern Trinidad getting in some of the light rainfall, not much across much of Trinidad at all. But if we take a look at the weather view of Doppler radar images, we can see that rainfall to the east of Nicaragua, some rainfall in and around sections of Colombia too. And regarding where the rainfall is expected within the next 24 hours, this map from the Euro and this map from the GFS are both showing all the rainfall that's expected from now up until 10 p.m. on Sunday. And we can see the most rainfall definitely going to be lashing the Cayman Islands into Belize, Honduras especially, where we see the purples into the pinks that represents up to 3, maybe 4 or 5 inches of rainfall. We also see eastern Nicaragua, Costa Rica, Panama, and Colombia getting on some of the rainfall too. A lot of it would definitely trigger some flash flooding. Coastal areas of western and northern Venezuela, so too sections of Trinidad and Tobago, northeastern Venezuela, Guyana, Suriname, and French Guyana are going to be getting all of that rainfall, that moisture from the intertropical convergence zone. Grenada, section of St. Vincent, section of Guadeloupe, into portion of the northeastern Caribbean might get on some of the rainfall. We're talking about Anguilla, Antigua, and Barbuda, St. Martin, St. Kitts and Nevis, section of the US and British Virgin Islands, eastern Puerto Rico, section of the Dominican Republic and Haiti, sections of eastern Cuba, sections of the northern Bahamas. And we see that both the Euro and the GFS models are in consensus with this forecast. I know that when they're in consensus like this, the chances of it actually happening are much higher. Alright, so that's it for today. Thanks for watching.